So just to begin, something that we've seen with the stats is that year over year, April this year versus last year, CIR sales are up 11%,
Woo!
which is fantastic. I love that, yes.
That's awesome.
Not a bad thing at all.
Yeah.
Considering we had a great January, a couple months of something that we've unfortunately become used to in February and March, and then in April, up about 11%. It's definitely not a bad thing.
No, it's so nice to see that uptick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And to back that up as well, I was speaking with Shell last week, and Shell had mentioned to me on Thursday that as of Thursday, we had already received over 300 deposits.
That's amazing.
For the month of April in total for all the offices, which that's fantastic. So
great. Mm-hmm. Good work. Good work, guys.
Indeed.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on. Price of oil down slightly to 63.31 from 64.03. WCS is 52.21 versus 54.47. For
the Metro Calgary listings, we are 73.93 versus 72.48, which is up by 145. And for the sales, we are at 15.58 versus 15.15, which is up 2.8%.
And then in Red Deer, listings are up slightly. 674 versus 646, and sales are down 10.3% at 140 versus 156.
And for Lethbridge, listings are up to 793 versus 791, and for the sales, up quite a bit, up 30%, which is incredible.
Great.
160 versus 123.
Yeah, we were down there this week. Steve and I went down to our Lethbridge office, and they're just killing it down there. Their market's pumping.
Excellent.
Well, I mean, they want it to be more, but I mean, compared to what we're seeing in Calgary, they've got lots of movement down there, so that's great.
Excellent.
Yeah. Let's just talk quickly about buyers. This weekend was interesting. I was on call this weekend, and I had 4 calls, I think all on Saturday, about how to handle multiple offers when you are representing both the seller and a buyer party, and how to deal with the multiple offer situation in that scenario. So a couple interesting things out of that. For one, it means our market is starting to move, which is nice. Properly priced properties are obviously getting some traction. But also, I'm wondering if there's more activity on sign calls and stuff, and it would be interesting to hear if you guys are feeling that as well. Because, to be also handling a buyer party with one of your sellers, that tells me that there's more sign calls, more, buyers that are contacting listing agents directly, which is interesting. So, anyways.
It leads you to believe that maybe when that sign call comes in, at least right now, it could lead to a prospective buyer.
Right.
Maybe if not for that property, but for another one, which is always good.
Yep.
But you're right, multiple calls while on call this weekend for that scenario.
Yeah.
And I've seen it a few times in the last week myself, where I've had Northwest agents or even agents from CIR at all quick connect. And when I call them back, they're telling me that they have an offer represented by a buyer on their listing. And of course, the multiple offer situation always makes it a bit sticky and a bit dicey.
Yep.
But we're very well prepared to guide you in those scenarios. Our management team really knows how to handle those. So make sure that if you find yourself in that position, that you give us a call. Quick connect.
Definitely.
Quick connect, and we'll keep you straight. Yeah.
Yep.
When it comes to what's going on in the market right now for sellers, I've had a lot of agents coming into my office right now discussing strategies and sometimes letting a little bit of air out, a little bit of issues that they've encountered with them. And it's interesting. We don't always have all the answers as realtors. No. Sometimes you study the market, you keep them up to speed on everything. You're doing everything perfect. You're doing everything as good as possibly can be done, and yet the property is not selling. Well, you are not alone. One thing that we've been finding is that the agents that are coming out to our huddles, they're venting at the huddle and getting some new strategies sometimes. Sometimes the agents in the room are able to give some really good tips and feedback on things that the agent could try.
So collaborative. The huddles, this is a shameless plug for the huddles as well, which we weren't intending to do, but it's totally a shameless plug. For the agents that come to those huddles, it's so great because they they get the collaboration from the other agents. So if you have a listing that's been sitting and you need some ideas on what to do with it or how to generate activity or what to do at your open house to actually get qualified people through or whatever the issue is, we have 20 people sitting in a room that can help you come up with ideas on what to do with that.
Yep.
It's great to call your manager in those situations too, but to get the perspective of other agents that are live in the field, doing the same kind of thing, running into the same issues, it's really great to get that collaboration going.
I would agree.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's nice just to know you're not alone.
Totally.
Because we've all been there at one time or another. And knowing you're doing everything right, it lets you sleep a little easier at night, knowing, okay, it's not me. I'm not dropping the ball.
Yeah.
And often we already know that, but hearing it from somebody else makes us just feel that much better. Yeah. As for what's going on with realtors right now in the market, one quick reminder, a lot of you are getting very busy.
Yes.
Your phones are ringing, you're getting emails, you're getting more CMA requests because people are thinking about doing business. It's at this time where you've really got to bear down and keep to your schedule. You've got to do your prospecting. You got to think to yourself, okay, I'm really busy and I just can't find time. You got to find that half hour or that hour to try to engage your database and keep it going.
Well, and remember that the reason you are busy is because you were doing something before to generate that. Yep. So if you don't want to go on the yo-yo or the roller coaster of real estate, then you got to keep up with that prospecting and the things that generate business for you. Otherwise, you're just going to go right back down that roller coaster when you're done with the activity that you just generated.
Yes, very, very well said.